nice rainy day, nice and cold-ish out here. 40 degrees, rainy. At camp, we just got everyone out of tents and in a little shelter, so that's super cool. Working on those little goals to end homelessness. Going to the holiday party now with everybody else that I work with. But I thought, oh hell, it's coming up on the second, 10 days since my father passed, and I thought I'd put down some thoughts and feelings about that. In one aspect, I've long been a student of life and death. I've worked with many people, known many people who have exited this life in many capacities. When I was working with the elderly protection, I was, losing somebody monthly, sometimes a few a month that I was working with, and in the Marine, I lost a lot of buddies in the wars, and then several times that number, I think, since getting out, to suicides. And of course, as a student of psychology and anthropology and all the other little things I like to study in philosophy, I really try to make sense of it all. And to a certain extent, you can be prepared, but I don't think ever ready for someone to check out. And although I lost some family members, my uncle, and my grandmother, and my grandfather, and each one hits a little different. I remember my grandfather passed about 15 years ago now. It just felt like a layer of insulation between myself and the world had been taken away, and the world just felt a little bit closer, a little bit more raw, a little more unfiltered, a little more exposed, as it were. However, losing a parent in this way, fortunately we had some time, a little bit of time. I mean, it was unexpected, but as much as we could do, we were there for him. I had long since kind of made amends, or gotten over my perceived slights of growing up, when we were all young. Came to terms with that, and thanked him for all the good that he did do, and all that kind of stuff. So that conscience was clear. We're on good terms. But it wasn't until that loss was felt that I really realized how foundational to our world people can be. It's pretty well noted, in psychology and stuff, human relationships, intimacy and family dynamics and all that kind of closeness and stuff, that people, we get into habits, we get into patterns, and that really stuck out to me in the sense that, like, those patterns, that's kind of something that we can base some reliability on the world. Like, you kind of have, like, when you know somebody and you know them well, you can somewhat predict, you can have expectations on how they're going to act, how conversations are going to be, who you are in that role, what role you fulfill, to a certain extent. And of course, as you grow and as things change, it's a lot less so in, like, your personal relationships than, like, professional relationships. In the market, professional relationships is like they're time bound, and they're intended to change. But families, people very rarely view that change as part of the process, and it takes a little more work sometimes, and it's sometimes a little less obvious when it needs to happen, because people are resistant. People like to be steady and be predictable and have the world kind of ordered. But so, probably the biggest thing about losing someone close that it's not all about just sadness or grief in the sense of this emotional turmoil. I didn't suffer as much of that because I had come to terms and come to peace with it a long time ago. There's no harsh feelings. But just the foundation, just like having that predictability, kind of like a tectonic breakup of like the ground or earth, where you have these fractures and these schisms, and all of a sudden that which was a solid bedrock, now things are just floating apart. It just like annihilated. That world just ceases to exist. You can't call the person. They're not going to call you. And whereas you have this regular, like this clock in your head, like saying, okay, well, it's been a couple of days, or like, hey, there's this one thing I'm doing that I know they're interested in, or hey, there's this one thing I'm doing that they would want to give advice on, or I would want to tell them about, something they'd be excited about. And so it just changes all that. It just kind of shatters that planet, as it were. And that's disorienting. I think it's a big part of that. Bereavement is that loss of who we were to someone, and not just like what we had or what a person was to us, but it's our whole worldviews. And I've noted this in a lot of different senses. It's kind of like a culture shock. Those things that were predictable and reliable in one setting is like irrelevant, and you have to get used to different textures, different sounds, different smells, different languages. Like when you transition significantly from one culture to another, it's disorienting. So I really appreciate all the support, all the reaching out that everybody's given, because that helps to reaffirm the ties and reinforce the world that still does exist here. And it's important to note, like immediately, as after Patch, I start just revisiting things, and I'm like, oh shit, I had gotten kind of stuck in this one mentality where I was viewing these interactions one way, and was like, oh, that wasn't meant that way. I immediately can totally see different ways things were intended. Things I was misinterpreting or whatnot, or just interpreting a different way, and vice versa. And so that's kind of reinvigorating in terms of what people have to teach us, or what we can choose to accept as lessons or opportunities. And in that same breath, when we kind of choose to redo patterns, especially in relationships with close family, over the years I've had the good fortune to be able to counsel and help out many people in all kinds of unfavorable circumstances. Family violence, abuse, child abuse, elder abuse, all those kind of things, and trying to reestablish things for people to help find their ways, find themselves, build health again. And so I'm looking at, as I'm feeling this loss and this disorientation, at the same time I realize where all that groundedness is missing is also this huge opportunity to learn and grow and to be a new person. It gives an opportunity for choice. As much as there is loss, there's absolutely in every bit opportunity. And by looking at maybe what I misunderstood or didn't understand, or whatever, it gives me the opportunity to grow and be better. no way. Like I'm not big on the psychodynamic theories like Freud and whatnot. And totally like in a different perspective. I mean, one of the things that Hanlong said, like for the son to grow, he has to kill the father, metaphorically speaking. And that's a common theme, like in psychodynamic theories and stuff. And it was strange in the sense that, it was only upon his loss that it gave me that flash, that opportunity where like, oh shit, I might have been, kind of stuck in a role before, and he was. I think he always wanted to be dad. He was always father, and always taking care of me. Huge support. So, so we had a hard time like taking advice or not being the authority or being dad, even despite everything. It's kind of part of that dynamic that I felt locked in, and then, again, that may be part of my own misconception. Despite all my education or degrees or traveling or all the rest of this stuff. I'm just keep going. I don't know if anything will allow me to post something this long, 11 minutes. But no, in that same vein, and choosing our energy and choosing where we go with things. I was driving along and it's raining and people are out driving like idiots, and someone got behind and then passed around, and I'm driving reasonably, well, I'm not going too slow, I'm not speeding, and there are puddles on the road. It's hydroplaning does happen, and I was right. I usually think it's better to be kind than right, but the person passed just for a second. I started to have that flash like of outrage, and then I'm thinking like, what the fuck am I doing? I have no control over that. It's absolutely pissing in the wind to have any feelings or even hardly any thoughts on what other people are doing like that. Like, it's just absolutely senseless. And I'm like, why the fuck do we stay on this treadmill of like trading barbs and insults like some kind of bunch of like sadomasochists? Like, we know we're gonna take offense and feel angered or hurt at what other people are doing wrong when we think they fucked up, and then we know we're gonna like get indignant when we were angry at them or something. But it does fuck all. It does absolute fuck all to have any thoughts or feelings about what other people are doing. So it's like this treadmill, like this masochistic, masturbatory kind of treadmill. Like, oh, that hurts, and oh yeah, and here, let me cut you back. It's just like we're gonna spend our whole lives just stuck in this loop. What the fuck are we thinking? So it helps to keep center, especially in this time of disorientation with the major loss or major changes in life, to not be pissing in the wind and not wasting my energy and my efforts on what's out there. I mean, the only thing you have control over is what your attention is on, and the only thing you can really exert any actual control over is what you do with yourself. How you experience your body, how you take care of it, diet, exercise, whatever. And if you don't do things on purpose, it's highly, highly unlikely that you're gonna accidentally be healthy. The astronomical number of choices that we can make. Like, you gotta fucking specifically choose your path, what you value, that good stuff. Anyway, thanks again for everybody. I just needed some time to think and work things through a bit, and now I kind of understand how, like, the grief of the loss of someone so important, like I don't know anything about losing a child, obviously, and I never do, but someone close to you who's foundational. It's interesting. I'm really trying to take the best of it and like take all the good lessons and learn from anything that it doesn't feel good. Yeah. So thank you.